Welcome to the TowerCast podcast, the towering podcast for the towering filmmakers. How's it going, everybody? We are always keeping it real like a roll of film, always looking to develop with you, the listeners, and the stories that you are all telling today. Thank you so much to our listeners and our watchers who have been watching us. We have a very special guest with us today. We have one of the founding members of Films. And a little background for anybody who doesn't know these peeps. They're a pretty prevalent team based in El Paso with us, as Tower is as well. One of the things that I've always noticed about them is how dedicated and how colorful their sets are, and the size of their team, just always, keeping it lively and sharing their stories with us. So we want to thank for one of the founding members, Andrew, for being here with us today. As always, we got Austin Young, keeping us young on the mics.
Yo.
And then, of course, our director, Michael De La O.
Hello again.
Our Walt Disney, Carlos De La Torre.
Whoa. Yo.
And our actor, John Castro. Thank you so much for joining us.
What's up, fellas?
The wall is looking like every time it's just looking better and better. Like just
Yeah. We got to back it up. You got to do the fillets thing, Castro, because it's not an episode if you don't do it. You got to do it.
Oh, what's going on, fellets?
There you go.
Fillets. Okay, I like it.
Fellas, but fellets. I don't want to offend anybody,
We're
Good
definitely excited to have Andrew Barahona here on the podcast today, man. Thank you so much for joining us. How you doing, brother?
Good, dude. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How's this quarantine treating you?
It's been good. It's actually been really good. A lot of fun. Well, in a like, it's really easy to get like locations, not like in a fun.
Yeah, I see that you guys are still working, man.
Fun.
That's pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I know, pushing through it all.
Yeah.
How's it with the people getting mad at you, man? Because I've gotten some people got mad at me because I'm filming stuff and.
Really?
He goes streaking outside, so that's.
Well, you know what? It helps to have your own studio, right? It helps to have your own place to shoot.
Well, yeah. I guess that's one of the questions we could segue into eventually is like, how are you guys all handling the pandemic during COVID? Because of course, we all know that there's productions that have been completely and indefinitely shut down, and then there's some that have found ways to safely, continue on. So it'd be interesting to hear about that later. But Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. And I've never met you personally, so hello, I'm meeting you personally. Michael De La O as well, and some other.
It's the mystery.
Yeah, no, man. I know. Yeah. We're all kind of. I know you and I've met Andrew, and we've talked a few times and stuff. So let's kick it off by that, man. I always like to tell little anecdotes of stuff I remember of when we met or when we kind of bumped into each other and stuff like that. And naturally, we've always seen each other at film festivals or at stuff going on around town. So obviously, Board is always in our sights, and we always see you guys and see your hustle, as Juan would say it, right?
Yes.
But I remember we did this. For those that don't know, Board was blessed enough to win the 2-day challenge for 2018. They won the first place prize of that, and that was the same year we won the audience award, and so we bumped into each other there. And the following year, they hosted a very cool kickoff event at their place, at their studios. And we went. My wife now. She's my wife now, guys. It's crazy, right? She's not my fiance anymore.
Yeah, congrats, dude.
Yeah,
Well, humble brag.
Humble
brag.
Just had to, dude.
So Sandra and I went, and we just kind of, we knew a lot of people and a lot of filmmakers there, but I had never met Andrew. I think I had met George here or there, but I hadn't met Andrew yet. And then we're kind of just mingling, talking to people, exchanging business cards and whatnot. And then Andrew kind of pulls me aside, and he's talking to a couple of dudes. I don't think they were part of your team. I think they were just kind of guys trying to get into
just people who showed up. Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, man, what's going on, this and that. And he's like, he points at me and he's like, these motherfuckers are crazy, dude. These motherfuckers make 20 films in a year. And I was cracking up because I was like, yeah, that's us. Like, what's up, this and that. And we started talking about that a little bit, man. And I'll always remember that moment because it was like, okay, yeah, that's my first impression of Andrew. Andrew comes through and he's like, yo, hey, what's up, man? I've seen your guys' stuff and I've been seeing this and that. So very cool, man. And naturally, we're always seeing like your shorts and not just at the festivals, but what stuff you post online. All the behind the scenes is very awesome that you guys do, man. So
Thanks,
we're
man.
always checking up on that. So very cool.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. And congrats on winning the second year, dude.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man.
You guys went from, you were what I really appreciate is like you guys had a goal in mind and then you like just did it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
you gotta
that's
do sometimes.
what you got to do. That's the mentality of every indie filmmaker, right? You got to tell. You want to tell a great story, and you have very limited resources. You better make it happen one way or another, right? So
Yeah.
and,
you
and we
wanna-
see that hustle from you guys too, man, for sure.
Thanks, dude.
I was gonna ask if you want to kick it up, Andrew, and just kind of like tell us, like, I mean, if you want to start off with yourself and say how maybe your passion for filmmaking kind of started, and then maybe segue into like how Board kind of kicked off.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, to make a long story short, or let's just make it a long story.
Yeah, make it long enough.
That's what podcasts are, man. They're long stories.
Right. That's what I was
Right.
thinking too.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a podcast. We
Help
have
us
time.
help you, dude.
Yeah, we want to know, you know.
So essentially, it all started with my older sister. I'm the youngest of 4 total, so it's my brother.
El Chiplon.
Yeah. It was Jorge, and then my brother Jose, and then Irina being my oldest. She's about 10 years older than I am. So essentially, she was a very creative type. She still is a huge inspiration of ours. And so what ended up happening was she would kind of entertain us with like games. And one day she was like, let's play making a movie today. And so we used my dad's camcorder and like we redid the Star Wars film. And this is back then when like I think it's like 1999 when the Star Wars Episode 1 came out. So like, you know, the Star Wars hype was there, and naturally I played Emperor Sidious. I think I did a pretty good job.
Did you guys ever release it?
I know.
How'd the box office do for that, man?
Disney right now about release the Barahona cut. No, yeah. So essentially, that kind of became like a hobby, and you know, anyone who knew my mom knew that she was very much a strict mother. Like I wasn't even allowed to go to quinces. Like I'd have to be home around 10, and anyone and everyone who knows about a quinceañera knows that that's when it starts.
Right.
So,
Right.
essentially,
Damn, I
to keep
thought
my sanity, we would film whenever we were bored. And so, as a kid, I was always filming, and you know, as I got older, I was like, "Hey, I kind of like this." And then, you know, what ended up becoming like a hobby became passion, became career. And so, you know, the name stemmed from what we were. We were bored and we filmed, and so that's why we're called Bored Film Studios.
Oh,
So your boredom somehow manifested to excitement, but you decided to keep the name. I was actually going to ask that before we started, because you know I've never met any of you from Bored Films, I don't believe, but I'm sure you're excited to represent your family. You know, it kind of comes across that way that, you know, some of you are maybe related, or, you know, through the years have developed like a bond where it seems pretty inseparable. Like you guys seem like you guys
Without a doubt. Yeah.
And shout out to Jorge too, man. I mean, we've crossed paths with him multiple times. He's been nothing but nice to us. And I remember when we won the 2-day challenge, as we walked down the stage, he was the first guy to congratulate us. He was there literally waiting for us as we got down, and hey, congratulate. He was the first guy to do that. And when we've bumped into him at film festivals, he's always been kind enough to either ask us questions about our films or tell us, hey man, I did it this way, I did this way, or we did that way, and just kind of give us some insight on how he did it or how you guys did it. So shout out to Jorge, man, co-founder as well, right, of Bored.
Also my brother.
Also your brother. Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it kind of just became a thing. And then like I said, it was crazy because, you know, as I got older, I actually started off with acting. I did a lot of acting with like the colleges, and so I was like that one dude that like if an actor didn't show up, you'd call him, and so you'd call me.
Nice.
And so I did a lot of acting in like college and stuff, and like even before that, I used to film a lot with my friends and stuff. We'd always film shit together. And like I said, you know, I kind of cheated the system a little bit. As a kid, or not even as a kid, but as a teenager, like 16, 17, I would sneak into my brother's classes, and that's how I got my film education.
What?
Yeah. So
Yes.
So did Jorge like he went straight, like he did fall in love with that and went straight for film school, and then you kind of is that like
yeah.
Cool,
so I always liked film. You know, like I said, it was crazy, man, because like I felt like I had to earn my right to be a filmmaker, because my family was like very much was like, what is the filmmaker? You're not the filmmaker. And I was like, no, I want to do films. I want to do films. And my brother, you know, like you guys, like you personally have met him, Carlos. He's a very supportive person, and
he is, man. He's a teddy bear, but he's this big dude who's this big teddy bear. Man. Yeah.
He's like the big friendly giant. And so he was never like against me being a filmmaker. If anything, he kind of pushed me to become a filmmaker, and he was like, dude, do it. And I think that's kind of like what makes us so strong, is that we have that brother love dynamic where we push each other, but not only do we push each other, we're very honest with each other.
Yeah, does it ever get like on the edge? Like, does it ever like, hey man, I'm never talking to you again?
No, never like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, Andrew, but I know we'll dive into some of your works a little bit later on the cast, but you guys also DP stuff for each other. Like I know for the Silent Sounds things, if I'm not mistaken, you directed, he DP'd, and then you guys are kind of
So like I'm very I'm very particular with my visions, I guess. I don't want to sound pretentious by any means.
Go for it.
Like
that's what this
you're talking to filmmakers, pal.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So you guys get it. You guys understand it.
Yeah, filmmaking.
When you have like what you would describe as a baby, your work, your passion. It's really hard for me to I wouldn't say trust people, but to like really like explain what I have in my head into reality. Yeah. And so I'm very particular with my taste, and I'm very particular in like what I like and what I look at. And so with Jorge, he gets it. I think it's probably because it's like he's my brother, and he's really fucking good. So I tell him, excuse me, I'm like drinking LaCroix, so I'm like, this thing makes me like, so essentially, like, he was very much someone who gets me, who understands my vision. He whenever we talk ideas, we never critique them. It's always like, okay, that's cool. How do we do it? And so with him, I basically tell him, this is what I want. I usually come up with the shots myself. He comes up with the lighting.
Cool.
Because like I said, I'm very much particular on my vision and what I want. So I usually do a lot of like the shots itself. He will obviously chime in and add things that I think are better.
That's the collaboration between the director and the director of photography, right? And vice versa, because I know George has done. I've seen a couple of his films, and the one that particularly strikes my memory is always the silent film that you guys did with Julian.
Peripheral, was it?
I think it was Peripheral.
Yeah,
man. I mean, I know he directed that. I know that kind of came out of his heart. So, you both are very talented filmmakers, man. And I have a similar thing with my brother. My brother and I kind of grew up, and he was always an artist, like a drawing artist, and he delved into animation, and he did animation for like his teen years, and kind of went into that school of the arts. And then eventually kind of just went by the wayside for him. And then I fell in love with the arts and did music and then filmmaking, and kind of went that way. But my brother's the number one person I'll kind of consult, other than Austin, really. Like, I'll consult my brother for like, hey man,
like, I was like, yo,
can you check out my, even though he's not a filmmaker, like my brother, like he helped us produce our first few shorts and stuff, and literally was the financier for the first couple of shorts, man, that we did.
Awesome, man. That's
and I'll send him scripts every once in a while too. Yeah. And to this day, like, I'll send him scripts and get feedback, and hey man, what do you think? Because it's that brother thing too, man. Like his sensibilities are very similar to mine. We both love very similar films. My brother and I will watch Shawshank Redemption together 100 times, just because it's our favorite movie to watch together. To the future. I mean, we'll go into a ton of them, but I can definitely understand that brother dynamic, man, and how you need that person to kind of bounce off ideas, and I get that.
Especially like in filmmaking, because we're all, like you kind of said, we all have a vision, we all have this idea of the way we want to kind of conduct ourselves, or at least bring a project to life. And if you can't find that team or that brother or somebody that you can bounce those ideas off with, it feels bad, because you have this goal that you want to communicate.
Someone to anchor you down a bit.
Yeah, and
trust is important. Trust is important, man. In this industry.
And we're all looking for it. You with Board Studios, and now the whole team that you have, that it feels like now you guys, every time you watch the behind the scenes, it's such an easy shorthand, like telling one person.
We definitely see a reflection of us, man, in Board, in the sense that whenever we see your BTS, we're like, oh man, like they're just a bunch of goofballs like us. They like to get together and film, but they're also, professional and want to do stuff industry standard.
And what they do is nothing short but extraordinary, because I mean, they're essentially like the Warner Brothers of El Paso, these two. So like,
Thanks,
I mean, that's why I'm always dropping
really
bars.
Good, man.
But like, no, but really, I mean that too. Like, I know you guys have like this really strong dynamic, and one of the things that I've like really like seen is like how, well, for one, as an outsider who doesn't know any of y'all, like I just see kind of like where you guys are at now. And so as a filmmaker, of course, like I see how that bond has sort of like I assume taking you from the bedroom where you had all your ideas to now having like your studio. And so, you know, to kind of see y'all like build sets and create worlds and get lost in it, I can only imagine, you know, how that bond gets strengthened through all those projects that you guys all do. And the same goes with Tower. You know, I remember when like we were filming a lot more before the pandemic. It always felt like we were in a new place. I didn't feel like, you know, for a little while, right? It's always that little spark of magic where you finally get to day 1 of filming, or day 5 or day 6, whichever scene you're looking forward to the most. There's always a moment where you forget you're in El Paso, and for a little bit you believe you're in that little world.
I think it's interesting to talk about that, Juan, because I've always said, and my guys know this, Andrew, and a lot of any filmmaker I've really talked to, I like to say this a lot. I think El Paso is one big ass backlot. That's how I see El Paso, because we have everything, man. We have a city landscape, we have a mountain landscape, we have desert, we have greens, we have everything surrounding us, man. And we have everything to, like, kind of like you say, even with locations, most people will be nice enough to say, yeah, man, go ahead, come and shoot, or, you know, come shoot after hours, or yeah, maybe there's a fee, but it's not tens of thousands of dollars of permitting and fees where we have to, you know, so I think that's why I really like to say, that's kind of my mantra, is like El Paso is just this one big backlot that you can really take advantage of. Like, I feel like new filmmakers from all over the world should come to El Paso, and I know that sounds weird, but so that you get to filming in a place like this where you have to kind of scrape together your resources in a very feasible way. But it's very organic, do it yourself. If you don't get up and go find locations, if you don't get up and ask for this or get equipment or whatever, cast, crew, etc., it's not going to happen. It's really organic, do it yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. So I really do think, I want to get your perspective on that, because you guys have naturally have shot all over El Paso and the surrounding areas, right? So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think what's interesting about El Paso is the capacity to, you know, it's a small city, but it's a city that wants a lot. Like, you look at the art scene in general, and there's a lot of art here.
Beautiful art.
There's people who are very hungry. And I think, you know, because we're such a small city, we consistently try to prove ourselves with like the things we do. And so I think that reflects, you know, the people involved. Like, you know, you hear people from like Austin or whatever saying like their city, whatever. But what I find interesting is the talent here is very much, it's willing to work, and it's willing to earn it. And what I find interesting is you have a lot of great talent here that is being nurtured. And, you know, when I hear like a really talented actor that I've worked with, or just in general a talented actor that I enjoy watching, either in beat festivals, internet, whatever, and I see them leave, it's like, it's not necessarily, it's very bittersweet. It's like, damn, you know, like I lost a good one, you know. But on the flip side,
shout out to them. Shout out, more power to them. Shout out to guys like Julian, who took off to Albuquerque, and Melissa and Valerie took off to LA, and Damien, who's in LA. Like, yeah, but I get it. We've worked with them, and they're great, and they're talented. I mean, even Castro was living out in San Francisco for a couple years and doing this thing and going out there. So
I tend to forget those years, man. So
so no, shout out to them. But I agree with you, Andrew. Like, I think it's one of those things that we've tried to make a point of, is that leaving is not bad. Leaving is good. You know, if you have the resources and you're making your name out there, but you don't have to. You know, that's something that like, you don't have to leave in order to get your films known, or in order to get them out there. You have to go out and network, but you can always come back home and be based here. That's not a big it's not a big factor of like, oh, I'm from El Paso, I can't be a filmmaker, nobody's going to watch my films. That's not true.
No, I don't think that's true.
We've been lucky enough
to do you know, the idea of growth, though, is very much, like, to me personally, to play devil's advocate a little bit. I think expanding also is very much an idea. Like, why not have both? Why not expand your horizons and be here? You know, I think you could have both. I think you can. You know,
like Raul does.
Yeah, like leave for a little bit, come back for a little bit, leave for a little bit. I've actually know a lot of people who are currently doing that, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely.
That's like a practice that is kind of like being relevant nowadays, because like we have all said here, like, you know, it's El Paso's an ever-growing city. It's constantly under construction, so it might be like a little bit of a narrative
construction, man.
Right.
Yeah, you know, like where the people are also as well, like constantly under construction. So very good point. You know, yeah, we have a great art scene, great singers, great you know, people who just genuinely want to put their heart out there. And I know there's always that stigma, right? Like, oh, you're just in El Paso or anywhere. Even when I was living in Modesto, like there was always that stigma that you're just this small, like town
Oil
person
field.
that's trying to be something and you're nothing.
Towny.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as you kind of grow up, you realize that if you're not really bugged about that stuff and you just let the things that are good come your way, like you're gonna not just benefit from yourself, but your growth also encourages other people to grow.
It does, man. I mean,
I agree.
like one thing you brought up, Andrew, was the quote unquote Austin filmmakers, like as an example, as a city here in Texas that prominently have a very, very good film society. We've got to meet a lot of people out there and connect with them. And we made our first short film out there. So we got to expose ourselves to that film community. But what I've noticed with Austin filmmakers is that they're very much scattered. In the sense that the city landscape is kind of like, well, how do I find them other than, they're all kind of scattered. But in El Paso, I think we have this very cool, for one, everybody kind of knows each other. And if you don't know each other, you at least know each other's work to a certain degree. You've heard of one thing or another. And then when it comes to film festivals that we do locally or even in Las Cruces, we get to meet up and we get to talk and we get to really explore the talent here. And the whole point of film festivals and the whole point of meet and greets and stuff like that we've done and talked about is networking, right? And I think with bigger cities and bigger distractions, literally, you're unable to do that. And I think we lost Castro.
We just keep going, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he'll jump back in. But yeah, I think the bigger the city, the bigger the distractions are, or even things maybe even be kind of separated and segregated a little bit. And here in El Paso, it's this one big melting pot where we do get these opportunities, and lo and behold, we do use the talent that we meet. If we meet a DP, hey man, I heard about this DP, I saw their work, I want to use them in my film. I saw this actor in this guy's film, I think they're great for the role that I'm writing. I mean, really
the community is alive here. It's not like in other places where it's you see one good artist who comes out with a good film and you're like, that's great, but then nobody else is doing anything and nobody else is collaborating. I mean,
I think the film community is really big, and it's actually like it's very talented. And I don't necessarily think it's competitive, but I think it's competitive in the right ways.
Yeah,
where it's like,
enough to make you grow, right?
Yeah, it's like
push you to be better, and
I don't think it's malicious by any means. I think if anything, it's very much, at least with particular like filmmakers like yourselves, it's very much like we want to see you grow, we want to be better, and we're glad that you're getting good. And it's like it's never, I want to say, toxic necessarily.
Sure.
And so
you decide who do you rub elbows with here.
I mean, you have the bad apples every once in a while.
I think that's everywhere, though, to be honest.
Yeah. You just get to. Nope.
What's great is it's always about collaboration. Even if it be, the community's here, it's hungry, it's alive, it wants more.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with you, man. I think when you connect with the right people who have the same goals, I say this probably on every episode. If one of us makes it, we all make it, right? If one of us gets a film recognized from our city, we all start to get recognized a little bit, and we all start to pull each other up. Unless you're the bad apple that wants to keep people down, and we've encountered those people. So in which case, it is what it is. But that shouldn't discourage any filmmakers. There are good apples. There are people out there that want to help you out and help develop your vision. Yeah.
And get to the horror series. I want to talk about that.
It's a good segue, Castro. Let's talk a little bit about your work, Andrew. I know Juan had specific questions about some of your early work and stuff like that.
I was going to actually ask, can you kind of like
it's October, man.
Break down your schedule? Like what is like a busy day for Andrew? Like what is a busy day for Andrew? You have a couple meetings and
you're looking at it.
He's working on a
he's doing the TowerCast right now. He's doing the TowerCast right now, and he's doing James Corden at 9, and then
if you could flip the camera, he's actually DPing in set right now.
We
It's
got
just
the
like
set going on right now.
Yeah.
A typical day for me is I do a lot of chores in the morning, so I don't have to worry about it at night. It's a lot of laundry, a lot of dishwashing, a lot of cleaning my apartment, and
the essential part of the filmmaking process.
The essential part, yeah. It's meetings.
It's wax on, wax off type deal.
It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot on your phone. I was trying to see like what you got to do. I message about like honestly, I try to do like, I message like 50, 70 people a day for work, for clients and stuff
How
like
you
that.
doing?
And
Keep
it's
it
like
moving.
Because
always
you know,
try
we didn't. I don't think we mentioned this, but Andrew, you're also a photographer, a working
Yeah.
photographer here in town,
Yeah,
and very talented as well. Have your page
Thanks, man.
set up and all that, and that's important because that's income too. At the end of the day, right? That's
Yeah.
that's a business. So
What's the webpage so we can shout it out so we could?
whatever, to be honest. There's Board Film Studios.
For the photography. There.
I go by a little name by Wolfie Photography. That's
There it is.
another
There it is.
pseudo name. Not a lot of people know I'm Wolfie, but for the people that do, there you go.
Sure.
Official face
Hence
reveal.
the chair.
Tower exclusive.
you know,
Tower.
Tower exclusive.
it's breaking here.
But yeah, essentially, it's just like always trying to. I like working, man. I genuinely like to work, and so I always try
Sure.
to get work. And then it's going to the studio. I set up shoots about every day. I try to shoot every day. I edit every day, write every day.
Sure.
I'm not a big reader, but I like to listen to audiobooks, so I listen to audiobooks every day.
Nice.
And then I come home, I play video games, and then I restart, man. It's great.
What's the studio you're talking about? Is it a house or what is it?
It's an apartment. I live in an apartment. It's a really nice one.
No. I think what he's asking is if you could tell us a little bit about your space, right? Like,
Oh, my studio space. I was like,
studio,
yeah, I was
magic
like,
happens.
love to
Like,
talk
I-
about cleaning. I fucking love cleaning products, man. When you get older, it's great. Yeah, my studio is it's actually considered a building because of
sweet.
whatever the fuck. I mean, Austin and Carlos have
For
been
tax
there.
purposes or whatever.
Yeah, it's a dope spot, man. We met the dude named Joe. He's really great. He's an awesome landlord. Essentially, we saw it. We started building, and then Joe saw what we built, and he was like, "Oh fuck, you guys should be here." And we were like, "Cool."
Wow, cool.
And
Nice,
so
man.
essentially, we're trying to create this spot for our team. We have a huge team, so if we can create a place called home for them, that's kind of the main thing.
Sure.
We want to
Protect the
cultivate their growth. We want to make sure they feel like they can be in an environment that makes them feel like their family and that they can create. I think, when I was growing up with my dad being a doctor and with my family, like I was trying to go like the traditional route of college. They wanted me to be a dentist. They wanted me to get like that type of career. And so
A real job. Right?
yeah.
Dentist.
So for me
man.
being like the
Be an
creative
astronaut.
that I was, I'm very big on individuality. I'm very big on like not changing who you are. Be the best version of who you are. If you're a fucking weirdo, double down on that shit. Like,
Hell yeah, preach.
just be the fucking weirdo that you
We're all a
are.
little bizarre.
Yeah,
So
So
I get you.
I take
We're a
pride
little
in our
schizo.
diversity.
And I love that your crew. I mean, I haven't met a ton of them. I've only met you and your brother, and I mean a couple of the guys. I know.
Should change that.
Yeah, no, definitely. We need to,
Nice.
and we've talked about this, Andrew. We've talked about doing a
we've
little
talked
tower
about it.
board.
There's always
Imagine.
we just gotta make it happen, man.
Yeah.
go.
We had the same thing, and I know you know Francisco, and I'm sure you've heard him on the podcast with us and stuff. But we had the same thing with TriCast, man. Like forever, we wanted to work together, and now we're finally doing it. So for sure, we should make it happen. But some of your crew, I've met them on other sets because I know just like us, everybody kind of works on different sets, and then we come back home, right? But I think it's interesting that you're saying cultivating their growth and helping them grow as filmmakers. Correct me if I'm wrong here because I don't know the full story, but just based off what I've seen on social media, a couple of your crew members, they kind of have their own outlets as well, right? They kind of have their own branches of either a production company or either kind of outfits of their own. And I don't know if they have their outfits and they're working with Board or they came out of Board. But I have seen that a little bit.
Yeah. So we do have people who like are in Board and they kind of like
branch out, right? I mean,
they branch out. I wouldn't describe it as branching out. I describe it more as like that's why I'm trying to think of a word.
gotta wait.
Talking about individuals.
is it like a subsidiary? Like it's something
I would say
about,
more
like,
so
subsidiaries.
that.
Gotcha.
For an example, like Wolfie, although it's like a separate thing, it's still within the
Under the
branch
Board umbrella,
of
sure.
Board, because obviously I use the studio all the time. I use the equipment, so it's
Right.
kind of like that where there are instances, like for an example, Sinsters, he's very much an individual who he's just like we got really close with him as a family. Like he's just kind of one of us, but he does his own thing.
Sure.
And then there's the Eye Shape boys, Eye Shape Productions, which is in Las Cruces. Eli, he's just a brilliant mind, and
I think that's the one I was thinking of too.
Yeah. So he is kind of with us, but he does do his own thing. I think at the end of the day, we have the same goal of creation. I think that's kind of like at the bottom line. It doesn't matter. Like titles don't necessarily matter. It's just about the end game of creation of making sure we get it done.
Yeah, man. Like I know you guys reach out to different people who aren't quote unquote. And we do it all the time. Aren't necessarily bored, right? Or what what have you. But one of the guys that comes to mind is David Corral. I know you guys are
fuck yeah, dude.
There, and he's a friend of ours. And
David's dope, man. He's what I love about David is like he's good, but he continues to get better. And I like saying that shit. I love seeing that growth.
And he's a one-man crew, man. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a one-man crew. And
same with Sinsters, bro. He's like this fucking talented-ass kid, motherfucker.
Shout out to David Corral, man. Shout out. I'm sure at some point we'd love to have them on the podcast as well. But yeah, no, man, it's awesome to hear that people branch out and we always do that too, man. Like whenever I hear somebody reached out to me yesterday, and Raul Hernandez, and was like, "Hey, man." Who we've had on the podcast before. Shout out to Raul. He was like, "Hey, man,
awesome, man.
Who from your crew does sound? I need a sound guy." I told him, I gave him a list. These are the guys that does sound, man. Reach out to them, let them know. So we're always trying to get people to work with different crews because it's important to expose yourself. There's different styles, and just like when hopefully one day, God willing, we get to Hollywood and we get to do the thing. You're not going to work with the same crew the whole time.
Oh, God willing, dude. Just when that happens, man.
Yeah, definitely. When that's a good way to put it. So you're not going to necessarily.
What are like, I guess, like 5 films that you as a part of like the board team like are most proud of? Or I don't know if you have like 5 you can name, but maybe something that you would really love for an audience member to watch,
or even you as a director, even if it's just your work,
A last 5.
My self plugs. No, I like I said, I take pride in our diversity, and so Project Z has always been one of our babies. It's in production limbo because we don't own it anymore. But we sold it, and so it's in the process of the production. It's not on us anymore; it's on them. But that one was a huge deal because it kind of brought together, and I haven't even mentioned this yet, but a big thing for me has been like when we met, like James Retta, Frank Acosta, John Dixon, Johnny Haro, and for the people that don't know this, that's basically the heads of the company now. So they kind of helped us with that, and that's kind of the biggest project we've done in terms of budget, scale, and people involved. And that to me is our bread and butter of us as a company, because it literally shows the creativity. It's one big story because there's separate short films in the same universe combined together. And
sure.
That itself, I think that counts as 4 if you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and anything my brother makes really.
Leading up to that, Andrew, in terms of work you're proud of, I know the latest thing you guys have been filming / releasing little snippets of is Silent Sounds, and I know this is a series that you guys are doing every year. So can you tell us a little bit about Silent Sounds, how that came to be, and then where you guys are at with it right now?
There we go, the good stuff.
He's just
Castro's a fan, man.
We're here for it. Let me hear it. Silent Sounds, man, is another what I describe of one of my babies. I would like to think I'm a patient man, so I created Silent Sounds back in like my junior year or my senior year of high school.
What?
The reason why it's called Silent Sounds is because it was a silent film, but it was like a horror silent film. And essentially what ended up happening was I liked, and like I said, if you know me, you know this, I like to reboot my shit always because I have a vision for it. And so I want to consistently, raise the bar. And so, I started off as a kid with an idea, and then I decided, I was like, you know what? Silent Sounds is a cool sounding series. It's based off of a horror short film, my first horror short film ever. I'm going to make a series called Silent Sounds. And so then the first season was all me. I did 5 episodes by myself, and then second season we met the boys, the horsemen as we call them, quote unquote, which is John, Frank, James, and Johnny. And so then that year we all did one, and then the third year we got so big that I didn't have to do an episode. I just became the showrunner, and I kind of told everyone, like, this is the rules, this is what you do.
That's
go
cool.
do it. And so then the fourth year we wanted it to kind of focus on the storytelling aspect, so we kind of brought it down. And then the fifth year, which is the last year, at least the free year, because the idea is, like I said, this has been my baby for like 8 years or 7 years, whatever.
Sure.
The next step is, growth and pushing yourself. So I told myself, you know what? I love this series so much. This series literally is like the most popular series of Board Film Studios. So I was like, we need to respect it. Therefore, we need to like treat it as if it was what it needs to be. So I was like, we're going to reboot the franchise. We're going to start with season 1, but we're going to, essentially put it into a streaming platform. We're going to talk to whoever we need to talk to get it into a streaming platform so people can watch it. I was going to do season 6 there, but I was like, I wanted to go into the mentality of like, if you're new,
you can jump in.
You can just jump in.
That's actually cool. Yeah.
And that's the idea. So this year has been by far our biggest year because there was no limitations. There was no, we like to keep it short. We were thinking, let's do bite-sized shorts. This year it was like, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And so
man.
Yeah, I don't know if they've asked you this, but is horror one of your main genres? Like, what do you?
Yeah. It's so weird. I think a lot of us Halloween's my favorite, like my favorite holiday.
Sure.
You guys are very festive during Halloween.
Yeah, I'm super festive, man. And so like, it's so crazy.
And your girlfriend, right? Like, cause you guys do like the cosplay stuff and
we dress up and shit, dude.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's badass.
And if you don't know this about Andrew, man, you'll see him one day, and the next day he'll have a different hair color, so you might not even recognize.
Yeah,
it.
I always change my fucking hair color, man.
That's cool. Yeah.
I'm keeping it silver and blonde from now on, but
cool. But cool.
But with that being said, I think you attract people, like your similar mentality. You have this wavelength, and so we met people we met had that kind of like fucking love horror. And I think it's I know it's overrated but also underrated genre. I think people don't take it serious, but they also kind of like,
it's tricky,
watch it. Like I think Hereditary should have got like an Oscar nod, and I think the people involved should have got Oscar nods because it was,
I love the lady.
Now that being said, how did you feel about Midsummer?
I think you shouldn't. I mean, personally, man, I liked it. But I didn't think of it as like I don't know, man.
A different film.
It was good. It was good.
It's a ball of wax.
I don't know, man. Like I was expecting more horror. Sure. I should have seen it as like a film, a separate film, as opposed to the sophomore effort of Ari Aster. I should have watched it with the expectation.
It needs to age a little bit. I think
we were all expecting
that's kind of what it is with us. Like when Get Out came out, it was like, wow, like I want more of this. And then, Us, it was such a different movie that like I actually recently watched it.
Not Us. Us kind of bummed me out.
I liked Us. I actually really enjoyed it.
I like Us, man.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty good, but I could tell right away from the trailer what's gonna happen. The little girl.
No. If you watch it as a Black Mirror episode, like if it was like Black Mirror,
I mean, it was good.
But it's a feature film.
I'm saying that thought process kind of.
Yeah. I just wanted the same punch that Get Out had.
Yeah, same.
Us,
I think Parasite
be a modern
did
slasher film
better than what Us was trying to convey.
Oh yeah, by far.
Like
Parasite was just left field.
It was absolutely fantastic. But cool, man. I mean, what's interesting is your 2-day film, the one that won first place. The name escapes me, Andrew. I'm sorry. Anniversary.
No worries.
That's definitely not horror. That's definitely. I know you were assigned a genre, as we know, right? But was that a co-directed thing with you and your brother? Or?
Yeah. So it was Barahona brothers. Yeah.
Okay, so because I know your brother's sensibilities are very similar to mine in the sense that I like drama and romance and kind of like to
Martin
get into
Scorsese,
and Martin Scorsese, my hero of all time. I will tell you, you're lucky you haven't heard the name Martin Scorsese in this podcast.
Dude, he's
Andrew.
one of the greatest fucking filmmakers
Thank you.
alive.
Don't
man.
don't do that. Don't
Don't do
stroke
that
it.
to him. Don't do that to him.
He's
Thank
one of my
you.
top 5, dude. Like,
Top
Martin
five.
Scorsese is
Mine
my
too.
shit.
He's like on the
No, but-
6th place right now.
Those sensibilities, I see that in your brother. I've seen his shorts, and he does a lot of experimental work, but he naturally very much does a lot of romance and a lot of kind of inner deep character pieces, and that's what I'd like to do is just character pieces and explore characters. And,
Yeah, your guys' writing is fucking badass, dude. I love the
Carlos.
storytelling, the scope. It's really good, guys. Really good.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We appreciate that. I mean, yeah, no, but I ask about Anniversary because your sensibilities are obviously more horror, and you like to get into that.
I wouldn't even say my sensibilities are horror. I honestly, I'm a very selfish person, and so I do whatever I want, and like,
Okay.
like
I'm the same way,
again,
dude.
not to sound pretentious by any means,
No,
but it's
no,
like
no,
I don't
please.
give a fuck about like.
Like you're not trying to be a genre person.
Yeah,
Like
if
that-
I feel like doing
if I-
something, I'm
yeah.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
And
But,
so
but like you said, you know, you definitely love horror, and that's definitely a world you're very much comfortable in, and you like to explore.
yeah, I like the idea of horror. I like scary stuff. But I'm not into like I haven't watched like old horror movies. You know, I'm
Gotcha,
not like.
gotcha.
You know,
Yeah,
like
you're
my
not a
favorite movies, like
connoisseur.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. You know,
Okay.
and Birdman. That's one of my other favorite movies. So
Gotcha.
it's like very like different.
Yeah.
And I
What
think
would you say is a movie that you pull, like, you know, Robert Zemeckis says that before he makes a movie, he watches The Godfather. Like, do you have a movie? That
Oh
Ooh,
yeah,
good question.
David Fincher, dog. Like
Which
he's
one?
of my all-time favorites.
Dude, tell me you saw the Mank trailer today. It dropped today.
I have not.
It looks
Is that David?
Amazing. That's
Oh,
David.
yeah.
That's David's
shit,
return.
dog. I know
That's
what
David's
I'm
return.
right now.
That's the return. That's the return of David. He hasn't done anything since Gone Girl, so you know
Yeah.
he's back. He's
all
back
about
with
that
Mank,
shirt.
and Mank is about the making of Citizen Kane, and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, and it
so-
has Oscar Isaac, right?
Oscar Isaac comes out in it, and
Fuck yeah.
what's his name? The guy that won for Darkest Hour. His name is escaping
I
me.
saw a post about it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
Mank,
yeah, dude.
man.
That's
The trailer's
badass.
out today, or the teaser's out today. Check it out if you're a Fincher fan.
Yeah, dude, I'm
Mank.
definitely gonna check that shit out. He's in my top 5 as well.
Anyway, sorry, you're answering your favorite.
No, you're good, dude. Yeah, dude. I like. I'm very big on like. I'm like a basic bitch, dude. I'm very big on like iconic people. Like I love Walt Disney. I don't even like Disney. I love Walt Disney as the entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
you know, whenever I want to think bigger, I look at like Social Network or
Yeah.
you know, I look at like Steve Jobs. You know,
Gotcha.
I'm always trying to like
Stay focused.
channel their fucking energy. You know, even though I'm like this
Contrary to
fucking indie
popular,
filmmaker. You know.
Just don't take Ozzy.
contrary to popular opinion, Andrew, like we have another podcast on our network called the Watchtower Podcast, and we discuss and review films and stuff like that.
Humble plug.
And we'd love to have you on it at some point, man, for
Yeah,
sure.
fuck yeah,
We'd bring you on
Ooh,
it,
that'd
but-
be so cool.
Yeah, but we're talking about Fincher, and my favorite Fincher film is The Social Network. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
Seven,
incredible,
it's not
man.
Fight Club, it's The Social Network. I love The Social Network. Now, it's probably
Yeah.
because Aaron Sorkin wrote it too. That's half
Dude,
of it.
Aaron Sorkin, man, his writing is fucking insane. It's
His
like
dialogue
I
is
saw, I'm not even take credit for this. I saw a fucking YouTube video about like breaking down Aaron Sorkin's like writing and how
Yeah.
it's like literally like a rhythm. It's like
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
music,
It's
and that
Yeah.
shit,
That's how
like
he
it
used
blew
it.
my fucking mind.
that's how that's just like Juan's saying. That's how he sees it. He sees
Mm-hmm.
dialogue as melody, and that's how I see dialogue. That's how
Yeah, and
my
that's
favorite
very
part of
rare,
writing,
dude.
He
If
talks
it-
a lot about how the dialogue sounds should
Yeah.
kind of gravitate you towards like the characters and such.
Should
Yeah,
sound
see,
like a
that's
It
symphony.
changes your
amazing,
entire
dude.
opinion
Yeah.
when you're writing, because then you're like, well, what's the pitch that or the octave that my character is talking?
It's true, man. You see
How's
it.
that going to affect the next character? So-
Watch any Fellini film, and the dialogue in and of itself just sounds amazing. Like it's melodic. It really is. Watch a Fellini film. It's very European style. But yeah, man, I love The Social Network, dude. The Social Network is one of my all time favorites. And Steve Jobs obviously has snappy dialogue because it's Aaron Sorkin. If you haven't gotten to see Molly's Game, dude,
Oh, I fucking love Molly's Game.
dude,
Yeah.
fantastic. Sorkin's directorial debut, dude, and it's just insane.
West Wing's cool too. I like West Wing.
Yeah.
Just to go on like a tangent, I really something I really appreciate about you guys too is the love for film. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I can probably tell. Like I can see why you guys have a film podcast. Like that's
These aren't books. I just want you to know that.
yeah, it's cool. It's cool that you guys actually like are cinephiles as they describe them.
Oh.
You know, like I know people like myself or even like other people who just want to make movies, but you guys are like passionate about it. You know about it, the history about it, and that
We
shit's
appreciate
important.
that, man.
You know, it's important, and it's cool. It's cool to like. I can tell you guys are very methodical. That's dope, dude.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
because
We
you know
appreciate that.
it's that whole idea of like they made all this so we can be right here and we can learn from that, and then
Yeah.
now
That's my
we can
thing,
draw
like,
creativity. You know,
Castro asked me recently. I think he asked me on the podcast, but or I don't know if we're just having a conversation. But Castro asked me why Scorsese? Why is he here? Or like, yeah, okay, he's the guy that makes mafia movies about a guy named Tony or whatever. But he's not just. And I tell him it's because he's the one that honors cinema more than anybody. He's a film preserver. Like he preserves films. Just because he loves those films that he grew up with and wants to preserve them for generations to
He
come.
gets better with age, man.
He does, right? I mean,
like a fine wine.
not only that,
Very
but
bitter
he's
wine.
getting old.
like if you, not only that, but when you ask him a question like Leo and De Niro like to say in interviews, man, like when you make a movie with Marty, you're making a movie with an encyclopedia of cinema.
Yeah.
Like he's seen everything under the sun, and he will almost quote it for you. Like that's
He
how much
loves
he
it.
loves film.
Yeah,
and that's why I love him and how I fell in love with film, and that's what I care about. So thank you for making a note of that, man. That's
yeah, dude.
that's
Yeah,
a big deal,
definitely
dude. That's a
honest
big
with
deal
that
for
from you,
everybody.
man.
In Tower, we all love cinema, and we all want to
Yeah,
make cinema
appreciate
the
it.
way we love it. So
Dope, man.
yeah, man.
So another question: moving forward in like board studios and all that. I mean, is there any bigger projects that you have lined up for, let's say, after the pandemic, when you're able to get more locations and more
A
cast and
sneak
crew,
peek.
or is
And
there
not that
things you're
Silent
working
Sounds
on?
isn't big, dude. I saw the stills and I saw the snippets you sent out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the stuff you guys shot on Ridoso looks amazing.
Thanks,
dude.
man. Appreciate
I mean,
it.
it
Shot in
looks
Ridoso?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, they shot one of the episodes, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, I mean, Julian's a good friend of ours as well, and
It
he's
would
been
be a
in a
cool
few of our
spot.
films. And I think,
He's
Juan,
just
I
a
think you wanted to
talented
touch on that
fucker,
a little bit with, but he's
Yeah,
a
you gotta
talented
roll
guy,
that.
man. But yeah, Juan, I think you wanted to touch a little bit on that with Julian. I mean, he's I know he directed one, this Silent
He
Sounds.
directed one. Yeah. Like I said, we didn't have a limit.
Yeah.
The main. I don't mean to interrupt anyone. The
Oh no,
main
yeah.
concern.
I was thinking like De La O had a question.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Oh no, it
If
was just
anybody
that,
could have wrote
like
the
is
two.
there any bigger and what's the next project? I know we got Silent Sounds right now, but what's the next thing that's coming up that maybe you can kind of tease for us that you're working on?
I don't even think there's anything in mind. I think the mentality is different, though. I think, to say the least, to say this much, we're in an era of I don't give a fuck anymore. Let's just do it. And so,
Cool.
my concern is no longer limits. It's more of let's just do it. And so I think that's kind of like the next year coming in. It's not about like what's the next big project. It's more about what ideas do you have? What do we need to make it happen? Let's do it.
That's good.
And so for me, recently, I've just been really, I've been reminded that life is very short. And so therefore, I think it's important for us to, like I said earlier, cultivate growth, make sure it's there. And so the next big project, if you will, is the mentality of let's go big. Let's try and
So
do
it's
something
just
that we haven't done.
seeing what kind of grows from right now
Mhm.
and being open to that. I think that's a good approach. It kind of goes into what you hope a lot of people do, which is like don't just have ideas that are creative and say, okay, well, let's put that in a box, and then if things work out, we'll get there. It's like no, like try to make it work, try to grow, develop, because maybe something greater will spark from that.
And we're not getting any like younger.
That's true.
I
about it,
personally thought, I mean, I'm sure you guys thought the same thing. We would be somewhere different than we are now. And so for me, I would, like I said, I'd like to think I'm a patient man, but I'm actually not a patient dude. So, if you notice, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm very fast with a lot of my stuff. And so I get like a first cut almost after we film. And so for me personally, it's just a matter of like, I want to test myself. I want to be able to see what I can do next year. I want to see if I have a lot of ideas up here. And I'm thinking, you know what? I've been saving these. Let me just do them. If they suck, they suck. Who gives a shit? Like, I'll learn.
That's one thing we've always.
Yeah, that's one of the things that like I would say this team we have here like has too as well. Like we always try to challenge each other or challenge ourselves to take on
And
new.
no holds barred too. No holds barred. Like if somebody, any one of us, if if, for instance, if there's a story I'm truly passionate about and I pitch it to the guys and they're like, well, I don't know how that works, man. But if you're passionate about it, let's make it happen. But we'll, no holds barred. We'll also say, hey, man, that's not going to work. It's going to, maybe the storyline should do this, and this. And we'll give each other that honest feedback without diminishing each other, without trying to tear you
It's
down.
like constructive.
Yeah, it has
And
to be.
if you want a cool growth story, Andrew, I would say, like, and I mean this like in a very just kind of like loving way, where it's I know I was gonna say, like, should I wait? But
You're good.
You gotta wait, Carlos.
our very own, like, De La O, I don't know if anyone's told you, bro, but holy crap, man, you've really like grown like since I've known you, like.
Dude, it's crazy to think that I used to be 4 feet just last year, and then, dude, hormones or something kicked in. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, but honestly though, I mean, I remember when I know, like, I'm really good at spotting people's like process and kind of like, okay, I know where they're at the point. Like I like to say I would be a really good sidekick if I was ever given the chance to. So like one of the things that like
Get your hustle on, dude.
I'll read my palm.
I know, dude.
I'll read your hands, your feet, whatever's. But like, yeah, one of the things I've noticed about De La O though is that like when we were all collaborating, like I remember the first couple episodes of the TowerCast, like he just kind of went for it and he threw himself in. And even just today, I noticed I was like, he just is like so good at what he does now that like he can literally talk about depth of field during a Zoom call meeting. Like,
I mean, Loki has the best setup, dude.
Right?
I mean, hey, that's not an accident.
High key, dude. High key.
Dude, high key.
Own that shit. Own it.
No, yeah, man. I love
went
that you say that, Juan, because it's true, man. Like,
honored, Juan.
I love that your team is taking the same approach, Andrew, and we see that a lot of that, and we see that there's thankfully there's teams out there that are doing the same thing we do with good reason. I mean, my whole thing is like, if the formula works, don't change it, right? So unless it needs to be improved somehow, but the formulas worked for us to just try to learn from our mistakes, and then when somebody new comes on and wants to try filmmaking, hey, this is how we did it, this is how we went about it, it's worked for us, check it out, see how you like it and whatnot, right? And just the storytelling in general, man, like, it's whether we like it or not, whether we like to think that we're lone rangers, lone soldiers in this industry, we're really not. It's the most collaborative art space there is. It's filmmaking. You have to be collaborative. I always tell the team, like, something that I've learned that I mean, Rodriguez is one of my heroes also, man, and I'm so happy I got to meet him and talk to him, and he's been one of my heroes since I started, man. And his number one thing is, you have 10 bad films in you. The sooner you get them out, the sooner you're
that's a good saying. Yeah, that's really good.
And I really try to implement that. Like, if you're scared about making your first short, or you're scared about, get it out. Like, just get it out. Any ideas you have, let's get them out. Let's get them out. Eventually, you're going to learn, oh, you know what? That's where I messed up. That's where I got to fix it. That's where I did right.
That's some good knowledge, man. That's really good. If anything, I would. That's like verbatim what I would tell anyone. If anyone wants to start, just get that shit out, man. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Real quick, we did want to ask you the question of, how is it like working with Julian Cavett, who, like, Tower, we have our actor, our baby
Castro right here.
We have Castro, DiCaprio, and I know your guys' DiCaprio would probably be Julian. So how's it like to work with him, man? Having him
Julian's cool, man. What I appreciate about Julian is the mutual trust. What I like about Julian is he's talented, and he's a looker, man. He checks out all of the stuff that I feel like, is not to say that look should matter, but he's like, it's cool that someone like him, like if you've never met him, you would think like, oh, look at this dude, like, what does he do? He's like this model, right? Like, he literally is a model. Yeah. He's a sweet, charming, fun guy who is very passionate, very hardworking, does not make excuses, shows up. And that's kind of the main thing for me, someone who shows up and someone who's good. If you show up, if you're good, if you're reliable, I will use you. And that's kind of like the main thing for me when looking for an actor.
For sure.
And first and foremost is the trust. Because, like, and I think you guys, I mean, obviously have gone through this where, like, you have a vision, but they don't see it. And it's like, well, yeah, like, I don't expect you to see it because it's in my head.
Right. And at least trust me on it. But
exactly. Precisely. It's like, you got to give me that trust. And so when you meet someone who's like, like anytime I have an idea, I'll pitch it to Julian, and he doesn't say maybe, he doesn't say we'll see. He's like, let's do it. Or he'll
And
be like,
it's
when?
gotten him far. I mean, that mentality and that work ethic has gotten him far. Shout out to Julian. We know he's out,
shout out to
you know,
Julian.
back and forth between Albuquerque and El Paso. But when he is in Albuquerque, he's working, man, and he's working hard. And
I guess in
and-
our conversation from previous was like how he gives back. You know, he goes to Albuquerque and he comes back to El Paso. So
yeah, and he's
in love
just
with the
finished up
craft,
a
dude.
film. He just finished up a
Someone
film with
gets
Eric
back.
Roberts, which looks amazing, and the stuff he's shown us, and that's awesome. I mean, he's really been working hard, and thankfully we've got to use him in a couple of Tower films. And I agree with you, Andrew. I think the trust is there, and I think the dedication and work ethic is insane. I
I
mean,
see your dog.
yeah, walking around.
It's a cute dog.
Yeah. Ain't that like the difference though between like what we would consider in our community like successful growing filmmakers are the ones who, you know, like have that trust and are able to like share that responsibility, that whenever we meet somebody who you tell that, you know, they're working on a project, but they have to be the one to do everything and they won't let anybody kind of touch their baby, and they're not willing to trust anybody else help them in that process. We know what path they're headed in, and we see that kind of like decline that they're going to be going down because they're not able to share that. But then for us who are able to trust, or actors like Castro, Julian, who are able to put that trust in us, we're able to make something great. And you always see that kind of come out. It's having that.
I always call
team
Castro the De
focus.
Niro to my Scorsese, man, and that's I don't take that lightly.
He's freaking old though.
Yeah, and yeah, that means that,
Leonardo?
hey, that just means that somebody's on your way to replace you, Castro.
Oh,
I know, right?
I don't
Dude,
take
De
that
Niro's
lightly.
classic, dog.
Hey,
Anything
that's
De
not
Niro
true
touches,
because
I'm just like,
Marty's next film has both of them in it, so he's not getting replaced. That's all I'm saying.
Who gets the girl
that's
though?
pretty cool.
Who gets again? No, but yeah, I don't take that term lightly. That's why I like working with Castro as much as I can, because we have that trust, we have that connection, we have that shorthand, and I know, and that's my wife walking in the frame. But yeah,
Hello, wife.
we have that shorthand, and I think it's only important to, when you find actors like that, like you said, man, it's sad when you see them go, because
Yeah, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
bittersweet, yeah.
Yeah,
Man, Austin's calling me, dude. Not Austin, the city.
Yeah, man. So that's awesome. Julian is also obviously a peach.
projects. You know, he's in your guys' film. I'll Always Forget You, and
Yeah.
project that you guys have been kind of brewing. I don't know if it's like officially like trailer debuted or anything like that, but In Thy Hands, that looks really awesome. I know you guys were
Yeah,
filming.
the thing, you know, we get this a lot, man. It's like, when can I see these things? And
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
and I'm always responding. This is my response. I say, it's in the film festival circuit. So when it's on its circuit, you guys know this, we're not allowed to show.
Yeah,
it.
we
So
can. We can.
That's
a
a good
lot of our projects are currently film festival circuit. So it's like out of our hands, but it's crazy because like that's also why I love Silent Sound so much. Is like, you see it, you're gonna see it. Like
Yeah, that one's gonna be.
there's
out.
no fucking wait. It's like, you see it, you're gonna see it soon, you know. And
When can we expect Silent Sounds to drop this season?
so the first episode, I believe, is October 24th, and we're gonna put it on all platforms: Instagram, TV, YouTube, Facebook, and then it's from the 24th all the way to Halloween, which is, I think it's 9 episodes. So all consecutively.
Can you give us for the first episode what you know?
That
little-
one is Julian Cavet's film. Excuse me. It's about, I don't know if I'm in the privilege to say, but
Give us like 3 good words, man. Three.
Yeah, 3 words to
3 hot
describe
words.
it.
just masterful filmmaking, badass. I don't know.
Hey,
No, I'm just playing.
ahead,
I'll give you a little bit. Essentially, it's just it's what again, like I said, not to kiss Julian's ass too much, because you know,
No, kiss away.
we do enough of that on set, dude. You know.
and I know you guys are really close, man, and you're best of buds and stuff.
Yeah, that's also cool, man. It was really cool to meet someone that I could, you know, not only like connect through intellectually, but like connect through physically when we make out, because we're just.
Oh wow, that's a good.
I'm just playing. I know,
me
yeah.
too.
It's just cool, man, that he's like, it's like we're 2 peas in a pod, man. Like we like the same shit. We talk about the same shit.
yeah.
And we share blankets.
No, yeah, absolutely no ego whatsoever. Definitely share a couple of blankets. Definitely made our girlfriends jealous.
Of course,
And it's just
of
cool.
course.
All
man.
right.
It's cool to meet a genuine soul. You know, that's kind of my thing. I like people who are genuine, which is why I like you guys so much. I see that you guys care for each other, and you guys are very much a family. You know, that's
Thank you,
cool,
man.
man. Yeah. The more you know.
We're the Brady Bunch.
Is it the good word of the day or what's going on?
I think it's time for the good word of the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Unless Juan, do you have
Juan,
any
do
more
you have a
questions?
couple?
I guess I could use one more question. The one thing that we didn't get into a whole lot, which is perfectly understandable because that's a whole intersectionality like type of conversation we would be having. But I guess since you guys do a little bit of film and commercials, and of course a lot of the work with that deals in organizing, you have to kind of organize, you know, the meetings and the setups. What's any business advice for any in upcoming, you know, short independent houses like yourselves that are, you know, trying to maybe get to that comfortable spot where you guys may be?
Okay. Right off the bat, you got to prove your worth. People aren't going to give a fuck who you are, so you need to give a fuck on who you think you are. So let's say you want to be a food photographer, you need to start filming food and make sure it happens. I think the main concern is that we get intimidated or we lack the not necessarily lack anything, but we get scared of being rejected. And I think the main thing you need to get out of your system is, if you're like, what's the question? Like how to make money, or like
No,
how
man.
to get started?
Answer it the way you felt.
I would say, you know, I had a film mentor, and his name is Julian Alexander.
That's Julian, man. He's an incredible filmmaker, man. I know Bad Juju's out there and doing great stuff. So yeah, shout out to Julian.
He never taught me film in terms of like the technical aspect, but he taught me how to treat the film game, as he calls it. And he basically said to me, he says, no one gives a fuck about you. No one's going to give a shit about you. So stop trying to make people give a shit about you. You need to give a shit about you. You need to do it.
That's good.
And so, you know, if there's any young filmmakers listening to this, you know, I think you should take the leap of faith. If you fail, there's just a lesson. And
jump in the pool, damn it.
Yeah, jump in the pool, man. Yeah, that's kind of it. Jump in the pool. Well put.
Cool, man.
Cool. And here's the quick, tough question of the day. Top 3 directors in your list, with the last one being your favorite.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Alphabetical, and you have to do it backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't tell me to spell it, dude. I'm fucking awful, dude. Have you guys played like, I play board games a lot, and like whenever it's like spell shit out, everyone will look at me and I'll be like, oh fuck.
You're that guy.
You
correct, man.
You guys get that? He plays board games a lot.
All right.
Can somebody kick Carlos out of this Zoom meeting, please?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. That's it for me, guys. Thank you.
Top 3, fuck, man. Right off the bat,
Enough question of the day, man.
shit. David Fincher for sure. Christopher Nolan and
Austin, calm down.
Edgar Wright.
Wow.
I love it.
Right, to top it off. Okay.
Mhm.
Love it.
And
Very
I
cool.
think,
One of my
shout outs is Wes Anderson, Scorsese.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
What's the music?
Still,
Yes.
oh man. Calm down.
Wes Anderson. There we go.
No, Scorsese. Hello.
It's okay. He said both. You can chill. You can go play in your collection.
Those are
Yeah,
the
you know I
five.
love Wes
Those are the
Anderson. Don't get me
five.
started.
And
with that.
then
I'm probably the
three.
person that loves Wes Anderson right under you. Like you know this.
Did anyone get to watch Tenet?
I did.
I did. I got to watch it recently.
Oh, I saw.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
I've heard mixed things, man. I don't know. I don't know.
I want to be compared to what's the other one with
Inception.
Inception.
You know what,
It is
Castro?
I've
Big
heard
Punch?
Inception is
You know
inherently
what,
better.
Castro? I was watching it and I was like, this would be the type of movie Castro would be in, like a starring role. Like, no, low key, I was watching and I was like,
Dude,
this
I'll be freaking machine.
Denzel's kid, man. By the way, I heard from somebody recently that he was miscasted. Do you guys agree with that or not? Nah? I heard he didn't belong there. but that's
I think he was one of the highlights. That and Pattinson.
wow.
yeah, oh, their chemistry was beautiful.
Yeah,
I really
Pattinson's
loved how they
great.
were
I fucking
dancing
love Pattinson.
and- Yeah, like I kind of was like,
Pattinson.
it was a trailer where like, yeah, it almost looked like they were gonna remake Inception because they're breaking down their plans. So I'm like, okay, it'll be like a heist movie, and in a way,
Yeah.
It kind of is.
yeah, it kind of is. And
That's Austin's favorite director as well. So Christopher Nolan is Austin's favorite. That's his
Because
dude.
Nolan's dope, man. He does
Yeah, he's
action.
really dope.
Well,
But I
I
really
wouldn't say he
enjoyed
does
it.
action well, but he does like.
Interstellar's insane, man. I mean, that's my top.
Conceptually, his creativity is really
Mind fuck, dude.
Yeah, it's insane. But cool, man. I mean, that's a good list. That's a good list. Very
Thanks,
cool.
man.
On the spot, I know, man. It was on the spot, but
Mr. Castro, I think you know what's coming up next if you want to present that.
ooh, we got Michael De La O about to present the good word of the day. Michael,
Word of the day. So, if you thought that was a challenging question, well, we have a segment on this show where we like to ask people if they know the definition to a word of the day, and it's to expand our. If we want to expand our vocabulary as filmmakers, communicators, members of life.
Exactly.
So, you know what? I'm gonna give you two because I found another one and I thought it was kind of fun. It fits the season, but the first word of the day is idiolect. Do you know
Idiolect?
what idiolect? Yes.
He's a guess. You shouldn't be calling him that.
Wow.
Just
Idiolect.
kind of context clues. An idiot who's actually smart.
That's interesting. In fact, you can coin that definition if you want.
Wow, dude.
But idiolect is a person's individual speech patterns or way of speaking. So it's the fact that somebody is more formal, or if somebody is like a little bit more relaxed and all that, that's their idiolect.
That's
I mean,
idiolect.
we use that in.
I'm an idiot.
Nice. But I wanted to use that word just because as filmmakers, we all have our own kind of way of speaking. And like you talked a lot about vision and how it's really tough for us to talk to people who don't get that vision because we're so passionate about it that, you know, when we find people like you or Board Films that we can talk to and collaborate with, we're on that same idiolect. We understand each other. We're on that same speech, and it just feels good, you know.
I like the pointing. And not to interrupt you, but you know, in the studio we actually have a pretentious jar. Because if you sound too pretentious, you have to put a coin in it.
I would be so broke by the end of the day. Man.
Honestly, we had one dude. We had one dude who put just like $5, and he's like, you know what?
I'm paying ahead.
This is a head.
Like
Funny.
I'm gonna
Love
be
it, man.
just
Love
sipping on what is it, champagne all day and talking about my films. I'm sorry. Okay. And then I don't think we're gonna make this a severe segment, but since it is spooky season, it's October. You're coming up with a horror film. Things are going around. I got a bonus word. It's eldritch. You may have heard this as somebody's name and all that, but the term eldritch, can you even fathom what that may mean?
I'm a fucking idiot, dude.
So
Eldridge to be.
if you thought of
Don't say something about the
city,
album, man.
I'm just gonna shot in the water, dude. Like to be scared. I don't know. He was Eldridge. She was.
Well, close. It's actually the way of describing something. It's an adjective. So something that is of eldritch is something that is weird, sinister, or ghostly. So an eldritch community would be a very like ghostly
like
kind of spooky
area.
community.
Okay,
so yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
Words of the day. Thank you for playing.
Hey, with De La O, man.
All right.
Oh man, Andrew, is there anything you'd like to shout out, or any other last words you got for filmmakers, for us, for anybody here listening in?
I would just like to shout out you guys, and then
Thank you.
shout out to I don't know, creatives, man, creatives all over the world, you know, especially creatives who like suffer from like depression and shit, you know, like I think it's important that if you are depressed, you use an outlet, either it be creativity or whatever kind, you know, and just know that you're not alone and that you can get out of wherever you are mentally.
Good.
And use the energy, you know.
Very good.
Don't be afraid to call, you know.
Yeah, and that too, man.
Don't be afraid to reach out.
That's awesome, man. That's good. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man.
Tower fellas, do you guys have anything else for Mr. Barahona, man? Any other
Dude, thank you
questions?
for being on. This was super fun.
thanks, man.
Awesome hearing about your story and then just talking. It was super cool.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, guys. Yeah, you guys are cool. We should just hang out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. All right, Mr. Kwan, we'll take it away.
Carry us out.
We'll cut, but let me just pull up the document.
Yeah, you're good. Cool. No, yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. I think we should. We've always talked about it, like since we've met. It's just doing a little tower.
I mean, both of us are busy, man. I get it,
yeah,
dude.
It's been insane, but
we're definitely gonna book you for the Watchtower, though, eh?
Yeah, man. We'll book you when we'll do an Edgar Wright episode, and we'll just have it.
We should do Scott Pilgrim. That one's got so much to talk about from a visual effects standpoint.
There's too much going on in that, man. It's
really
you and Austin. Like Austin doesn't like that film either.
No, I like it. It's just a lot.
Didn't we talk about this last night? As far as Austin hating things because it's too technical. I'm sorry to bring it up, Austin,
He's
but you know
scarred
what?
from so many-
I didn't sleep last night because I was so angry. Anyway,
I would argue that, and I know you guys will disagree with me, but again, favorite film, biased opinion. I would argue that it's probably the best comic book film ever.
Oh,
I've heard that. No, I've heard that. There's a lot of people say that.
Because the
yeah.
accuracy
It's anime. It's
to
an anime, technically, right?
it's kind of maybe
the
I don't know. Like manga maybe yeah.
Yeah, like manga.
it does a really good job of like personifying like I don't know punches and whooshes.
Yeah.
If
Oh
that
yeah,
even makes
definitely,
sense.
man.
Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
He
Yeah.
used the technology to his advantage. Edgar did, and I'm a Baby Driver fan. I like Baby Driver.
Baby Driver's
significantly
awesome. He was Baby
better.
Driver?
I love. Yeah, he did Baby Driver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love Baby Driver, man. I
He
think
did
that was
Shaun of the Dead too.
Shaun of the Dead, and
Yeah.
You could see
Oh,
his
Shaun of
influences
the Dead.
from Shaun to
Papa's.
Scott. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and in fact, if you watch a lot of his like early short films when he was in college, like a lot of the times he just recreated like scenes, and I think that's kind of like
Oh, that is pretty
I
cool.
cherish that because that means that he's this person who's like, I would love to recreate this shot at a bigger scale, at a bigger scale, at a bigger scale, and rebooting his own little style.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's how you develop it.
And that's how Andrew does it, right? That's just kind of that.
It's probably why, yeah. And it's interesting you say that. I wish I said this earlier. You don't have to be an asshole to be a good director. I think
That's good, man.
But it
people
helps.
they have this like this weird misconception of like I'm the director, therefore I need to be an asshole. It's like no, you don't. And I
No.
think one of the reasons why I like not Wes Anderson, but also him, but also Edgar Wright is they're like fucking dope.
They're the nicest
Like,
guys in the world, yeah.
yeah, they're really nice.
It
And
seems
like,
like it,
I don't know
I mean.
if you guys heard the story of when he was doing Shaun of the Dead, one of the zombies walked by him and thought he
Oh,
was
yeah.
a PA. And then the zombie was like, this is going to straight to home video, huh?
Yeah, dude, I heard that.
And
about
he didn't
that,
do
yeah.
shit. He was like, what
He
the
was
fuck
just,
am
like,
I
cracking
supposed to
up.
do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, and
With
that's
his
so cool.
Thick
Having that
English
mentality.
accent.
Yeah. So
Thick
it's cool,
English
man.
accent.
Like, you don't have to be an asshole. Just
Dude, the greats, the people we admire, with the exception of Hitchcock and Kubrick.
yeah, Scorsese's kind of an asshole, dude.
You think so?
Yeah,
Really?
dude.
Oh, yeah, he
Jonah
was
Hill,
hard.
dude. He had a
was
story.
hard.
where-
And
He
Lynch.
manipulated the heck out of like what's her name? Sherry Duvall. Like
Yeah, Kubrick.
Oh,
Kubrick and Hitchcock have a history of being assholes, but
so for that was just a little snippet of what
I
the
feel like
Watchtower
that was
should
that's a
look
very
like.
rare exception. And I think what's his name has been an asshole too, Tarantino. But
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
to some
Okay.
degree, you do have to
yeah,
be a
yeah.
bit of an egomaniac to be a director. To some
A
degree,
little bit,
I don't say a lot. Don't let it take over.
almost like to protect your vision, but not necessarily like having
Battery
to
level
be
low.
that guy.
Yeah, my battery.
All right, no, yeah, like Dalal says, that's a Watchtower thing. We'll talk about that when we get there. But Mr. Flores, if you can take us out, sir.
no problemo.
Reel it back in.
That about does it for these towering filmmakers. As always, keep writing your scripts, keep pushing through your writer's block. And if you hadn't heard it from anybody except your mama, then you'll hear it from us, from your loving and caring filmmakers out here in El Paso, Texas. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the TowerCast podcast, the Towering Podcast of the Towering Filmmaker. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, Google Podcast, and YouTube if you want to look at it visually. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you guys on set.